This is the definitive Ultrakill weapons tier list. So if your opinion is different than what's on this list, I'm here to tell you that you're wrong. I've actually been wanting to do a tier list on all the Ultrakill weapons for a while now, and I've actually recorded this video twice. But that was before the Arsenal update came out and released all the red weapons, so I figured, okay, it's time to do it. I know there's still the yellow arm to come, but hey, haven't done a tier list in a little bit, so why not? Also, I needed an easy video idea for various reasons. So, tiny bit of context before we start. A lot of these weapons on here I didn't have too much experience using since, like, I used them at first and I was like, they're not really my style. Decided not to use them. So what I did in preparation for this was did a whole playthrough of the game using the weapons that I was unfamiliar with, and I was actually quite surprised. Also, I know I say this every time, but since there's so many weapons and items on this tier list, I'm going to try and be brief about each of them, but no promises. You all know my track record. Starting off, we got the Piercer Revolver, the OG one, not the alternate. And I don't really know what I need to say about this weapon. It's nice, it's basic, it's got some tech with like bouncing it off coins and stuff like that. Not too much to say about it. It's a solid starter weapon and you can use it all the way through the end of the game. So I'm going to be giving the normal Piercer a very respectable B tier. As for its alternate, however, I have some good things to say about this one. The Slab Piercer is easily one of my favorite weapons, no questions asked. Sure, it's a little slow, but the damage it can dish out is very, very high, especially the actual piercing shot. Ricocheting that off coins, absolutely ridiculous. Also, it's great for like close range healing because it's like it hits multiple times on a single target, so it's like, oh, you're gonna be like one shot of these, even just a normal round, not even a piercer shot, you'll get some real good healing. So I think it's very fair that we put the Slab Piercer in A tier. Oh boy, the Marksman. Need I say more? If you want the epitome of tech and sort of weapons working in conjunction with each other, the Marksman might be one of the greatest weapons in video games of all time. Like, there's so much you can do with this. You can bounce your rail cannon off coins. You can bounce piercer shots. You can bounce literally, you can bounce the sharpshooter shots. You can punch your coins. You can ricochet multiple coins. There is an endless possibility of tech with this thing. Not to mention when you punch a coin and it hits something, you get the plus fistful of $1, which I think is hilarious. And it's just so stylish and satisfying to use. And when you throw a coin, the noises as it travels is just that you know the sound I'm talking about, it's so satisfying. Also, there's that tech where when a Maurice is charging up his beam, you can sort of throw the coin and then it like bounces it back. It's called like charge back. I think it's plus charge back. I've never pulled it off successfully in an environment, but it looks cool. It's just another example of cool tech with the Marksman. And I think I'd be doing it a disservice if I gave it anything less than an S tier. As for the Slab Marksman, I used to be known as the Slab Marksman guy when I dropped my video on Layer 7. And at the time it was like, yeah, it was okay. But they buffed it in a recent update. I think it might have been the Arsenal update. They buffed it and sort of made it a bit stronger, I guess. It was already pretty strong, but they sort of made it a tiny bit more unique compared to the original Marksman. I don't know what exactly it does, but I noticed as I was coining things and hitting the coin when it shimmers, which usually splits the ricochet to hit two enemies, I noticed it wasn't doing that, and it would sort of hit the enemy and I would sort of rotate the pistol around in my hands. And I was like, I'm not sure what that is. I don't know how that works, but I'll put the patch notes on screen behind me. But after using it, this is one of the weapons I didn't have too much experience with since I sort of really got into Ultrakill. Didn't use the Slab Marksman that much. And after using it after the buffs and slight changes, I really like it. I would still pick the normal Marksman over it 9 times out of 10. But I think, for what it's worth, it feels a bit more, I don't know, user-friendly, I guess. I don't like it as much as the Piercers, but I don't think I'm going to be putting it in C tier. I think I'm going to be putting it in low B. I think that seems a fair rating. The Sharpshooter, a very controversial weapon. When it first came out, there was this bug that made it like the most OP weapon in the game. I don't know the exact details of the bug, but then they fixed it and people called it useless. When something gets added to a game and it's overpowered and everybody's using it, and then they nerf it to make it, reasonable, everyone's like, oh, it's useless now. And I just didn't know how to feel about it at first. I was like, it's okay, I guess. But then I saw people using it to one-shot Maurices and absolutely decimate Serbies, and I was like, oh, maybe it's good. And lo and behold, it's now probably my second favorite pistol. I like the Piercer, but the funniness factor of the Sharpshooter is just great. So I think I like the regular Sharpshooter a bit more than the regular Piercer. However, when it comes to the alt Sharpshooter, I think I like it a little bit less. And I think I also, yeah, I think I like it a little bit more than the alt Slab Marksman because of the fact that, yes, while it only has one charge of the Sharpshooter where you go, while it only can do that once every so often, like every 10 seconds or 5 seconds or something like that, the destruction it wreaks is absolutely crazy. So I'm gonna put it in B tier, right above the slab marksman. All right, shotgun and jackhammer time. This is where it's gonna get controversial. When I first got the core eject, like first time ever playing Ultrakill, I really liked it because you can just sort of jump above a bunch of filth or a bunch of enemies, drop the core, and then boom, dead. But after playing the game a bit more and becoming familiar with the other weapons, it's not really my favorite anymore. I love projectile boosting, which is, you know, universal across all shotguns, so at the very least I like having the core eject to swap between that, the pump charge, and the sawed off to do like crazy projectile boosting. And, you know, in general, if you're going to be causing explosive damage with the shotguns, you're typically going to default to projectile boosting. You can shoot out the core and then shoot it with a pistol of any variant, and it'll make a red explosion, which is nice, but man, it's a very tricky and precise maneuver, and one I'm not very good at. But I think I just like it as the basic shotgun. The core eject feature, I'm not so great with, so I'm going to be giving this like... I think I'm going to be giving core eject like a C tier. Jackhammers. I'm not the biggest fan. Okay, backtracking. I don't like them. I think they're funny, cool, interesting weapons. However, I much prefer shotguns and the versatility of shotguns. My problem with the core eject shotgun is that I feel like I can't make good use of the actual core ejecting feature, but with the jackhammer, I feel like I can. Because you just eject the core and then jackhammer it in a direction as like a big direct explosion. And I love doing that. It's very satisfying to pull off. So for me, I think I'm going to be putting the core eject jackhammer in... yeah, I'd say low B. I think I still like the slab marksman a little bit better. Pump charge shotgun. I think we can all unanimously agree that this is everyone's favorite shotgun. Yes, sawed on is a very funny shotgun and absolutely a lot of fun to play around with. But come on, pump charge is just a classic. You can pump it up for higher damage, and if you pump it too many times, you just nuke yourself, which is absolutely hilarious. And if you know how to do it right, you can clear some crowds real fast. Also, this weapon has a very special place in my heart because of the Ultrakill randomizer streams and how I learned to use it to save my booty. Go check out those streams, by the way, they're really cool. I think pump charge gets an easy A. I think it's just like a no-brainer that this gets an A tier. I like those pistols that are in there more, just because honestly the pistols are kind of my favorite weapons in the whole game. But I like the pump charge. It's a classic, and everyone loves it, everyone knows it. And it's just like, it kind of feels like the shotgun, you know, in Ultrakill. It's not like the first shotgun you get, but it feels like the shotgun. As for the pump charge jackhammer, I'm not really a fan. It's just a jackhammer with the same properties as the pump charge shotgun, and you can't projectile boost with it, so it's less versatile. Yes, higher damage, but still less versatile. I don't know, I will say this though about jackhammers before I continue criticizing them. I do like jackhammers in the sense that you can use them to do very, very, very high amounts of damage to very, very chunky enemies. These things can one-shot a Maurice, near one-shot a Serbi, you can do massive damage to bosses. I think in that respect, jackhammers are great. Jackhammer's good when dealing with chunky enemy or boss, not so good for crowds. That's it. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the pump charge jackhammer. I think it's gonna be our first D tier for today. The sawed-on shotgun. Oh man, was I overjoyed when they added this thing. The first time I made Luke, and current only time I made Luke play Ultrakill, he was like, hey, are there any melee weapons in the game? And I was like, you got your fists and there's the knuckle blaster, and I guess whiplash kind of counts, but no, there's not really any proper melee weapons. But now with the arsenal update, we have the jackhammers, which pretty much are melee weapons, but especially the sawed on. That is the epitome of a melee weapon. It's just a chainsaw. Legit, just turn this thing on, let it go, and let the enemies come to you. They'll just all die. There's just no contest. Also, it's really funny how when Gabriel is changing forms in his fights, you can just go underneath him, put your sawed on just straight up, and he'll just stand there and take it for like 30% of his health, which is just hilarious. I think sawed on gets a high A from me. I think I like the pump charge a little bit better just because, I don't know, I just feel comfortable using it, I guess, but it's a great weapon. Sawed on jackhammer. This is a pretty interesting weapon. I feel like it falls in the middle category when it comes to jackhammers for me, in the sense that like it has some funny tech in the sense that you can bounce the chainsaw after you fired it with the jackhammer. I think that's pretty cool, but it also still feels a tiny bit plain. Again, it's a jackhammer, so you got to consider that it does very high damage to very high health enemies and can one-shot certain chunky enemies. So that part's nice. But the tech feels better than the pump charge jackhammer to use, but it doesn't feel quite as satisfying as the core eject, nor does it feel as applicable. I do like it more than the pump charge, so I think I'm going to be giving it a C, but I think I like core eject. No, honestly, I think I like the sawed on more than the core eject. All right, nail gun time. I think we can all agree that the nail gun is just one of the stupidest weapons in the whole game. I mean, hell, you can do that thing with the V2 where you put like 3 of the attractor thingies and then shoot nails between him, and then when he stands up, he just dies. And it's just a minigun. Like, who doesn't love miniguns in games like this? And I like the way it's balanced. I really do like the way it's balanced for like, you get 100 shots and you know, it'll do a lot of damage, but then you gotta let it recharge just for like, I don't know, less than a minute. And I think that's good balancing. I think I'm gonna be giving the regular blue nail gun a B tier right before the piercer, because I think I still like enjoy the piercer more, because you get the normal piercer, or you get the nail gun before you get the slab piercer. So it's like, at that point, it's like, yeah, you have to deal with the normal piercer, but I still like the normal piercer because I just like that kind of weapon. Oh, but the saw blades. Oh my goodness, these things are disgusting. The amount of damage you can dish out with these saw blades is utterly nasty. And I'm just sitting here thinking, how is this allowed? How is this balanced? The answer is it's not. And I think I'd be doing the saws a disservice if I gave it anything less than an S tier, but I still think marksman is better for obvious reasons. The overheat nail gun is utterly ridiculous. You get 2, sometimes 3 if you time it right, sometimes 3 insanely high bursts of damage. This thing destroys enemies. Have a problem with Maurice? Freaking attractor nail him, whip out this bad boy, and honestly, this weapon, I could not contain my excitement when I first got this weapon. And honestly, I think it deserves an A tier right above pump shotgun, because I think it's just that good. No, I like it more than sharpshooter too. Yeah, overheat gets a high ranking. The overheat saw blade though, I never saw the appeal in this, and I kinda still don't. You shoot out one saw blade that does more damage and lasts longer than regular saw blades, so it has that going for it. But I don't know, I feel like there's just more damage to be gained from the overheat. So I've never really used the overheat saw blade, so it's like, I don't know, I'm very iffy on this one. I think I'm gonna be giving this one a low C, all things considered. All right, the jumpstart nail gun, aka the red nail gun. Anything, any weapon that gives ridiculous amounts of electricity and just creates just electrical charges everywhere to just disintegrate anything it touches, I approve. It's a little funky to get used to the mechanics, that's for sure. Like, it can take a little bit of trial and error to learn how to sort of make full use of it. But man, once you can, the destruction you can wreak with this thing is ridiculous. And the fact that you can get plus conductor with this thing, with the only other weapons being like the red saw and the electric rail cannon that causes conductor, these things are stupid. They're stupid. I like the jumpstart nail gun and its effect. However, I think the jumpstart saws are just a little bit better. I'm gonna be giving the jumpstart nail gun probably like a high C. I think I'm gonna give it a low B. I think low B is fair. And I think I do like it a little bit more than the, what is it called? Jackhammer, Jesus Christ. The jumpstart saws, however, these things are ridiculous. I've always gotten better results using the saws. And I was just like, it's just such a good weapon. It's just good. I don't think I like it as much as the overheat, but I think I like it more than the sharpshooter. So I'm gonna be giving it an A. Oh, the rail cannons. How could you not like the rail cannons? I think it would be an utter disgrace if I didn't give the electric rail cannon a double S. And I used to be very anti-screwdriver, but I've really come around on it recently. I'm pretty sure they buffed it in one update or another, but I've just come around on it, especially when it helped me out in the Sisyphus fight. Like, that was huge. In Goddamn the Sun, when you fight the Insurrectionist, if you get all 4 of the dual wield power-ups and you get the forearms, you get the forearms, you know, the forearms. Shooting 4 of those screwdrivers is ridiculous. It lags the hell out of the game, but my god, it's satisfying. So I've come around on the screwdriver. It's still not my favorite out of the rail cannons. Probably still my least favorite out of the rail cannons, but I've really come around on it. I think I'm gonna be giving the screwdriver, I'm thinking high C. That feels right for me because I still don't use it that often. I've come around on it, but it's still not my like default to rail cannon. Okay, Maurice rail cannon. Yeah, it's just a nuke. It's just a nuke. I mean, yeah, you can use it without doing a nuke, but I don't really see why you wouldn't do that. Honestly, with how useful nukes are and how applicable that kind of tech is, I think the red rail cannon honestly earns a very high A. I think I like overheat just a little bit better, but I think it earns its place in A tier. Okay, rocket launcher. Time to get controversial again. I'm not huge on rocket launchers. I've kind of like the screwdriver. I've come around on it, but I'm not huge on rocket launchers. The freeze frame is definitely my least favorite. And yeah, you can make the argument that you can rocket ride with it, but I don't really rocket ride all too much. It's a bit silly, I think. Fun, but silly. But then again, Ultrakill is a very silly game, so makes sense. I don't know, in combat scenarios, I never see myself switching to the freeze frame unless I'm just like needing a rocket, just a regular rocket and not the extra tech, and I'm just like, okay, I just need a quick rocket here, switch to freeze frame, boom, there you go. But the other rocket launchers do that too, and their tech is way funnier. But yeah, freeze frame rocket, not the worst. You can rocket ride with it, I'll give you that. Rocket riding's pretty cool, but in normal combat scenarios, I don't really see it being too useful, nor have I found a use for it personally. And I think I'm gonna be giving it like a D tier, because I don't use this tech at all. It's just I cannot find a great application. I tried in my run through the game to find a good application for rocket riding, but I haven't, unless you're just trying to skip areas, which, like, why would you do that? Yeah, I'm gonna be giving this a D tier. I think I still like the pump jackhammer less than this, so I'll at least put it in high D. The SRS cannon is what the core eject wished it could be. It is undeniably satisfying to grapple your cannonball and dunk on Serbies, just obliterate them. And you can do the exact same thing of shooting the boulder and causing explosion. It's not a red explosion, but it's still an explosion. Also the sound, oh my god, just that thud when it hits something, and just, oh, it's just, I love this thing. I love it. I love it. Definitely my favorite rocket launcher. No questions asked. It might not have as diverse, like, interactions with other weapons, but it's on its own. It's just like, it can wreak some havoc if you know how to use it. I mean, just look at my video where I do P2 Way to the World on Violent. I pulled off a crazy maneuver with the SRS cannon, not only dunking on a mind flare, but also parrying the next one that hits me. I'm pretty sure that's how it went down. Yes! It's just so great. I'm honestly giving the SRS cannon an S tier. I think it deserves. I think SRS cannon deserves an S tier. And the last rocket launcher, the Pyromania rocket launcher. I love fire. I can't deny I love fire. And honestly, this thing has saved my ass so many times in the Minotaur fight and just gotten me through it. Just oil them up, let them burn, just sort of focus on dodging. I hate that first Minotaur fight where you're on the rails. I hate it. One of the worst fights in the game, in my opinion. If you just want to set stuff on fire, I mean, come on. Also, enemies can light the oil for you, as shown in my Way to the World video, where I start oiling up the Serbi. He throws his he tries to dunk on me and he ends up dunking on himself. This thing's funny. It's good for memes, but man, you can destroy yourself with this thing if you're not careful. So you gotta use it in tactical situations. I think that the fire starter gets a low-ish B tier, because everything in B tier, I like all these things, jumpstart, etc. I like them more. I like them more than the fire starter in terms of actual use. But I like it more than the jackhammer, and I like it more than the screwdriver. I'm more likely to pull out the fire starter to do some damage than I am the screwdriver or the jackhammer. All right, on to our last set of weapons. We have the arms, and apparently, according to Hikita, from what I've heard, just through rumors and whispers, the yellow arm is still coming. I haven't heard anything about it, but I'm sure we'll see it. Oh, I just had a thought. What if the yellow arm is Gabriel's arm? So far, we've stolen all our arms from V2, but he's dead.
Reconstructs what?
So what if the yellow arm, yellow, the sign of gold and radiance and shining stuff? What if we steal Gabriel's arm? Anyway, conspiracy theories aside. The feedbacker, my god. I mean, it's like one of the most important things in the game. It lets you parry stuff. And parrying is like 90% of the gameplay. For dealing damage on its own, not too great. You can headshot filth and they die, but I mean, that's whatever. But parrying, holy moly. This thing's stupid. This definitely goes up there with the marksman as one of the best things in the game, because parrying anything, projectile, direct parry, anything, so satisfying. We'll do the knuckle blaster first. I think that's fair. I used to not use this thing at all. I used to think it was stupid. Then layer 7 came out and Hikita was like, okay, you don't want to use knuckle blaster? I'll give you an enemy that requires you to use it. So I just started using it whenever gutter tank showed up. But then I subconsciously started mixing it into the rest of my gameplay and I'm like, huh, this is just a natural skill now. It's just part of the game now. It's just, I kind of regret not using it before. Just turn around and there's an enemy there, just quick, just middle mouse button. That's how I switch fists. I just find it easier. Middle mouse button to whip out the knuckle blaster. Boom, dead. Also creating shockwaves where there's a bunch of enemies on a platform and they can fall off and just die. That's great. You can push like a whole bunch of enemies at once. Also, it just disintegrates filth with its shockwave. They just die. I've really come around on the Knuckle Blaster, and I'm a big fan now. I think the Knuckle Blaster has honestly earned my respect, and I think I'm going to be giving it an A tier. I think I like it I definitely like it more than Sawed On, but I don't know if I like it as much as Pump Charge and all the other things on here. So I'm gonna put the Knuckle Blaster right there. Low A, that seems fine. And you know, high B is also arguable. And last, but certainly not least, the Whiplash. It's just a grappling hook. Like, it's stupid. The range is absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, you can make the argument it's balanced out where if you use it, you build hard damage. But that doesn't really matter. It is very rare for me that I find the hard damage from the Whiplash ever being a problem. Because you're playing so stylishly if you're using this thing right, that's like the hard damage just goes away in a second or two anyway. And I love that they incorporated the Whiplash in some puzzle elements in Layer 7 because, you know, they had the different types of grapple points in layers 4 and 5, and then everyone was like, hey, I think we should get some more like puzzle elements using the stuff. And then they added the yellow grapple points, which are the switches. I think it's just one of the game's best mechanics. I don't think it's as good as parrying and stuff like that. Like, I don't think it's quite as satisfying. But again, I feel like I would be doing the Whiplash a disservice if I gave it anything less than an S tier. I still think coins are cooler, but I don't think the saws and the SRS cannon quite hold a handle to the Whiplash. And there you have it, the definitive Ultrakill weapons tier list. If you have a different opinion, you're wrong. Anyways, before I let you go, feel free to leave all your crying and complaining in the comments below, as well as dropping a sub. I'd really appreciate it if you drop a sub. We hit 7K recently, and I really do appreciate it. And, well, I have a very special announcement coming out regarding subscriber goals in the 7K special, which is coming out very, very soon. If you want to participate in the 7K special, check out the Discord server and watch the 6K special. 6K special is very important. So if you want to take part in the 7K special, check those things out. Also, consider becoming a channel member like these beautiful people right above my head. You get all sorts of cool perks like early video access. You can help me decide on videos when I have enough channel members to do votes, that is. You get exclusive emotes, member-only community posts, a cool Discord channel to talk in, a badge next to your name, all sorts of cool stuff. Feel free to go read about it. Shout out to the members. But I think that's gonna do it for this Ultrakill tier list, and I do want to say just one more thing before I leave it here. I genuinely don't dislike any of these weapons. Like, they all have their applications, and they can all be useful if used correctly, which, you know, you can say about anything, really. So yeah, I just want to say that before I end, because I don't want you to think that the things I put in D and C tier I just like hate or don't use, because I use a lot of these weapons. But that's gonna do it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, have a good day, everyone.